Welcome to the Station Wagon. I'm the older brother, Marc.
And I'm little sister, Julie. This is the podcast where my brother and I give up something we take for granted and tell you how it goes.
Buckle up and enjoy the ride. Hey, all you listeners out there in podcast land.
Oh, is that where they live?
They do. It's a lot like Candyland, except there's nothing to eat and no water to drink, so it's not very fun. They just have podcasts to listen to.
That sounds pretty bad.
Yeah, it does. So, yeah, I'm sorry for you guys. Sorry for you listeners about that.
But at least you get the enrichment of this delightful education.
Absolutely. Yeah, right, Julie? Good job on that.
Right.
Way to spin it around.
Thanks.
So, Julie, in this episode, we're going to be doing something about calories.
Eating more of them?
Oh, that would be really interesting. No, that's not what we're doing. We are actually going to be giving up consuming or eating more calories than we need to eat on a daily basis.
Okay, that's going to be really hard and kind of sucky.
It's going to really suck. So what's a short way to say that, though, Julie, for reals?
This will suck.
No, about the calories, the title. We're giving up calories. We're giving up excess calories.
Yeah, I like that.
So we'll talk about...
I have a lot of questions about that.
Oh, I know. There's a lot. That's a really vague statement. And we'll talk more about what we mean by excess and what calories are and all that stuff a little bit later. So, Julie, let me define what a calorie is for you.
Okay, please define what a calorie is.
So a calorie is a unit of heat used to indicate the amount of energy that foods will produce in the human body. So that's actually a very simplified definition, and I'm not going to go into the more complex definition.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Everything that we eat produces energy, and that energy is measured by the unit of measurement called a calorie.
Okay.
Before we get into more specifics about how we're going to track that unit of heat, all those excess units of heat that we're not going to be putting into our body, let me give you the quiz.
Oh, yeah.
Question 1. Where are excess calories stored?
Blood.
What?
Blood.
Blood? No. Nope. No.
Muscle.
No. Okay, you're wrong. You're right. Fat. I think even my 7-year-old would know that.
Well, it's just that...
Why didn't you know that?
Because when you're... I guess I know that, but I was just thinking when you're burning... Okay, let's say your autonomic nervous system is activated.
All right, just shut up. So if you ate a ding-dong...
Glucose is released into your bloodstream.
No, listen. If you eat a ding-dong and your body can, say, burn off, say, 10% of its calories, the other 90% of those calories become fat.
Okay.
And that's why... people get fat because they eat things that are more calorific.
Ding-dongs.
Yes. Oh, ding-dongs. Those are so good. Do you know they're not called ding-dongs in the Midwest?
No, what are they called?
I think they're called king-dongs or something like this.
No.
No?
Ho-hos?
I don't know. I think they're, let's see.
I'm from the Midwest. We call them ding-dongs.
Called in Midwest. Hold on. Let me just look this up.
That's so important. I'm really glad you're taking a break to...
Yeah, they're called king ding-dongs. Which sounds really bad. Oh, no.
Yeah.
King Ding Dong was the character that they used in their advertisement. Yep. King Ding Dong. Go look it up, listeners.
Come back to us.
All right. Let me come back to you now. All right. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I got a point for that.
What? I guess. Right. So a small amount is stored in your liver and in muscles as glycogen, but that's for if your muscles need immediate energy and we don't have time to burn food or burn fat.
Okay.
Right.
And then that glucose is released into the bloodstream.
Yeah. Whatever. Whatevs. We're not talking about that.
Okay.
Focus with me here.
Question 2.
What is the device? This is a multiple choice question. What is what?
A.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. They're numbered. You got that wrong. What is the device called that is used to determine calories? Is it, and you have 4 choices here, an intrepid torpedo, an ether vesselometer, a difference engine kettleometer, or a bomb calorimeter?
B. 2.
Really? Number 2, the ether vesselometer?
Vesselometer.
No, it was a bomb calorimeter.
No way. Okay, what do those other things mean?
They are They are steampunk gibberish that I got off of a steampunk site.
Awesome.
Right, because the bomb calorimeter was actually something that was developed in the late 1800s. So it has that kind of steampunky sound to it.
Yeah, totally.
But basically all this is, it's really cool. All it is, imagine just a vessel that you put into it something that gets burned. And you have an ignition source of some kind to burn this thing. And then that area is wrapped around with water. And as that thing burns, it heats up the water that's wrapping around it. And then there's a thermometer stuck into the water that measures how the water temperature increases. Yeah,
that's pretty awesome. There's a lot of things that I've cooked. I'd like to know exactly how many calories they are.
Right. So that was the old school way of doing it. Nowadays, they measure calories in all kinds of much more accurate and complex ways, which we're not going to get into here, but it's super interesting science stuff. But a bomb calorimeter. Okay. How many calories should my cat Pogo be getting daily? And he is an 11-pound, 3-year-old cat.
300 calories.
Wow. How did you know that?
Seriously?
Yeah, that's it.
That's
it exactly. Yeah, so my choices were 350, 500, and 150. Yeah, 300 calories.
Awesome. How many calories does he get a day?
I have no idea. He's a little bit chubby.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Pogo, go exercise. Yeah, he's just looking at me right now. He's got that look in his eyes.
I'm going to kill you look?
Yeah, I've got to watch my back tonight when I go to sleep. That was the quiz. And actually, Julie, you did great. You got 2 out of 3.
Awesome.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Really good job.
I equaled my previous high scores.
That's right. Yeah. I'm very proud of you. Nice job.
Thank you.
You're
That's
welcome.
really supportive.
Shall we move into history?
Yeah, I'm very interested to know, when did food start having calories?
Pretty much food has always had calories, but it was only, But it was only between 1743 and 1794 during the life of Antoine Lavoisier. And I'm probably butchering that. It's French. How would you say it?
Antoine Lavoisier.
Oh, that's super nice.
Yeah.
In 1782, he developed the first mechanism to research the amount of heat given off by some process like breathing. But unfortunately, he was guillotined in 1794.
Oh, that's
with the French Revolution. I don't know why I'm
really
laughing
nice
about
how
that.
You laugh.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm sorry, Antoine. I mean, it was really important contribution to science, and he had a lot of other contributions as well. Go look him up. Really important figure in chemistry and fundamental chemistry. But without him, we wouldn't have gotten to the bomb calorimeter and being able to even understand what a calorie is. Okay. 1819 to 1824, the term calorie was actually spreading across Europe. It hadn't actually come to the United States at that point, but it was the time at which the usage of the word calorie as a unit of heat was spreading. Up until that point, a calorie was considered to be like a thing that you could hold in your hand, like a more tangible thing. Yeah. And not a unit of measure.
But were people thinking about it in terms of food and its relationship to health?
Well, they were not thinking about it in terms of food at that point. They were thinking about it just in terms of the amount of heat created during processes like breathing or catching something on fire. And it was starting to be used to judge how many calories something had in it. But they were burning all kinds of things to figure that one out.
Okay, gotcha.
1918, Lulu Hunt Peters published the book Diet and Health with Key to the Calories.
Wait, what year was that?
1918 in the United States. And basically she was the first person to widely popularize the concept of counting calories as a method of weight loss.
Oh, okay.
Right. And it's actually really interesting, that it goes back that early, the counting of calories. I didn't think it was that. I thought it was a much more modern concept. So that dispelled that myth in my own head. And I included in the show notes a little drawing that's from the book. It shows human bodies as being fireless cookers. In other words, describing how we metabolize food.
Hey, that's pretty accurate for the,
Well, right. That came out of the research from Lavoisier and his predecessors. So, or not the people that came after him.
Okay.
What do you call those people?
Successors?
Successors. Thank you very much. Yes, his successors. That's right. 1919, World War One, there was a lot of American propaganda to save food, and I included a poster from World War One, like food, buy it with thought, cook it with care, use less wheat and meat. Actually, here, let me do it in this voice. Food, buy it with thought, cook it with care, use less wheat and meat, buy local food, serve just enough, use what is left, don't waste it.
I love it. That was great.
Okay. And the FDA also came out with propaganda that told the public that if they used more calories than they needed, they were directly hurting the war effort.
Oh, interesting.
Right. And it was interesting, too, to me, because even that early, they were still talking in terms of calories.
Right.
You know, they had actually started talking in terms of calories in food. 1941 to 1966, here we get into labeling. And during this time, the American Food and Drug Administration considered any foods that had caloric labeling to be in a special dietary uses group.
So it was more like the kind of label that you would have on like ibuprofen or something.
Yeah, something like that. Like if it needed to have that kind of label, it wasn't generally like popular consumption food.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to talk a little bit more about labeling later.
Okay, cool. And at that time, meals were generally prepared at home from basic home ingredients, so there was really little demand for nutritional information. In other words, people weren't eating a lot of processed foods where you had to guess what you were eating.
Well, and also there probably weren't tons and tons of choices either. I mean, it wasn't like, okay, well, I'm standing in front of the rack of all these juices, which is the one I'm going to take.
That's true too, sure.
It's so like whichever kind of rice my local market carries is what I'm going to get.
Yeah, what else would the local market carry, Julie?
Taters, onions, popsicles, lentils.
Popsicles were invented until 1974. Wallpaper, yeah, I missed that one. That was good. Lentils, right. 1993, all foods get a label. So the final regulations were published on January 6, 1993, and these mandated labeling in the form of the nutrition facts panel that we all know and love today.
Do you read the nutrition labels when you buy food?
Oh, hell yeah, don't you?
Yeah, always. Like religiously to the point where it might be a little obsessive.
Right. So there were exceptions to this, like food shipped in bulk for further processing or restaurant foods, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. But in general, yeah, I mean, you can go out and look at pretty much any food now, even I think meats. Now I'm a vegetarian, so I don't really go looking at the meats and stuff all the time. Maybe you do. What do you see?
I don't know. I can't remember the last time I just gazed upon meat. I mean, I guess if it's like pre-packaged meat cuts.
Right. I guess it might have like fat content and stuff in it, right?
Maybe.
We'll have to, listeners, if you eat meat, write in, let us know. So yeah, so just amazing that you can go out there and now understand that there's this standardized set of measures on any food that you pick up. And it's worldwide. It's just incredible.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
In 2005, and this is where I'm going to stop. Okay. In 2005, MyFitnessPal, not .com, but just MyFitnessPal was introduced. I think actually probably back then it was .com.
Probably.
Right. And so if you're not aware, listeners, what MyFitnessPal is, Julie and I are going to be talking about that later in our How Are We Going to Do This part of this episode. But it is a fitness website that allows you to track your calories and exercise during the day.
It's one of the most common ones out there. So I'm guessing if our listeners are tracking their calories, odds are they're doing it with MyFitnessPal.
Right, but what if we just told them such a novel idea?
And they're like, what?
What? I can track my calories?
This mobile phone, I've just been using it to smash bugs and call my mom.
Let's see. Elizabeth, while you're out there running, listening to us, are you tracking your calories with MyFitnessPal?
You don't need to be. That wasn't like a, hey, lose weight kind of thing.
Oh, no, not at all. That's not where I was going with that, Elizabeth. I just wanted to get those knees up, Elizabeth. Get them up there.
Anyway. Okay. So that's the end of
You'll
history,
include that, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The things that we record get put in the podcast.
Well, not all the time.
Well, I know.
All right. That was history. What'd you think?
Okay. I liked it. Let's go on to science.
Oh, sciencey stuff. I've been using the hashtag sciencey stuff in our Twitter account.
Awesome. Okay.
Hashtag Julie smells.
Idiot Mark says what?
What?
So,
oh, I see what you did there.
Do you remember
that is really
when,
old school.
I don't know if I can use this in the podcast, but
what?
Oh man, it was a fancy dinner that we had with like a whole bunch of cousins, and we were like in the fancy dining room using the fancy dishes, just to like give you a sense of how fancy this was. And at one point, it was right after Wayne's World came out. And so I said at one point, Sphincter says what? And everyone was like, what? And you and Rob gave me like the look of death. And you were like, Julie, come here with me right now. Get up from the table. And I was like, no, I don't want to. And you're like, come with me now. Like you both must have come home from college or jobs or whatever. And you were like, do you know what a sphincter is? And I was like, no. And you told me and I was mortified that I just
I kind of do remember that. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
You were so stupid.
Sciencey stuff.
Yay.
Not just about sphincters. We're going to talk about restricting calories. First of all, just tracking what you eat alone can make a difference, even without counting the numbers and looking it up on an app to figure out, okay, well, how many calories are in these almonds I'm eating right now. If you just take a pad of paper and write down every single thing you eat and drink all day long and do that for a few weeks, the research shows that alone helps people start restricting without intentionally thinking about the math. Just when we deliberately write down what we eat, we start eating less. The labeling, though, is interesting because that does tell us how many calories are in things. And so you would think, okay, that's going to help everyone make healthier decisions. And in some cities and provinces, it's really common. All the restaurants have to now show the calories for all the selections. And there's a lot of studies out there, but they have mixed results. Labeling with calories at times and certain circumstances does seem to help people choose more healthfully. But what's even better is the stoplight system, or at least according to one review I read. So that's when instead of saying, yes, this croissant has 500 calories, it's red, yellow, green. And red are foods you should eat sparingly. Yellow are foods you can eat at times. And green are foods that are great for you. Eat those more often. So I was surprised by that because I figure maybe it's just my stereotype. I think of the people who are actually engaged in calorie restriction and thinking about these things are going to obsess about it the way I kind of do and, would want to know the math. But I could see that.
So the red, the I've had too much Smartie juice.
The red?
The red, the green, and the yellow.
Amber?
Oh, come on.
Okay,
the red, the green, the red, yellow, green system is just a way to make it easier to segregate the different types of foods so you don't have to think about the calories. You can just easily place them into these labels.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. I was a sociology major undergrad, so that is something I love labeling things.
Well, Mark is just bringing down sociology one step at a time.
Come on.
I think that it's
I had a BA. I'm not able to really, do anything with my degree.
I think it's more than just that it's easier, although it is certainly easier. I think when you have the numbers, okay, this is just Julie's take on the world here. This isn't from the literature. But I think when you have the numbers, it forces you to have a different kind of conversation with yourself. It's, should I have that 500 calorie croissant or that 400 calorie cookie? I'm going to have the 400 calorie cookie because that's healthier. It's only 400 calories instead of 500. Whereas if you have red, amber, green, both of those would be red. Neither of those are actually good for you. And then if I'm at Panera, the apple's going to be green and maybe the soup will be yellow. And so it forces you to recognize, neither the croissant or the cookie are actually really good choices here. Mm-hmm. Did you, in your research, look at the Snackwell cookies?
No.
So this is kind of a big healthcare travesty. So back in, I guess it was the early 90s, the Snackwells were a really big deal. These were cookies that were low fat. That was their big claim to fame. And maybe I'm totally slandering or libeling Snackwells. But anyway, the idea that, low fat is good for you, low sugar and low fat, but still high in calories. And when a food doesn't have fat, it's also not filling. So, for example, someone we know and love loves cotton candy. Mm-hmm. And cotton candy is a fat-free food.
Oh, yeah, totally.
So
just like Twizzlers.
Just like Twizzlers, cotton candy, all fat-free foods. But they're also not filling, and they also are extremely high in calories. If you eat Twizzlers and cotton candy all day long, you're not going to do well. You're going to have a bad time. Is that South Park reference? Did I do it? Did I score with the young ones?
I don't know South Park references.
Oh, okay. Well, back to that protein and the fat, in terms of calorie restriction plus high protein diet seems to make adherence easiest. So when people are getting higher protein, that is more filling. So even though you're getting less restriction, that this is where a calorie isn't just a calorie. Instead of spending all that 2,500 calories on Twinkies, if you're going to have a handful of almonds and some avocado and, tuna fish, plus fruit and vegetables, those are things that are going to fill you up and make your body feel good, which means you'll be able to stick with the diet longer. Eating 2,500 calories worth of Twinkies might feel good in the moment, but you're going to be hungry again a few hours later.
Right.
And not feeling so good after the sugar crash. So the calorie shifting diets, one study I read, this is how they defined calorie shifting for them. They had 3 phases, and each phase lasted 2 weeks. So there were 11 days of calorie restriction with 4 prescribed meals every day. So they had like specific meals given to them. And then, but with a specific 4 hours of fasting between each meal. And then 3 days of they could eat whatever they want. So 11 days of these 4 meals a day with 4 hours of fasting, and like they were given their restricted meals, and then 3 days just eat whatever they want. And they compared that calorie shifting diet to just a regular calorie restricted diet where they were all given the same meals. So it's like everyone's eating the same kind of food, except for with the calorie shifting people, they had the 3 days of self-selecting. Overall, they all kind of did the same in the end. There weren't better or worse health outcomes for the calorie shifting diet versus just basic restricted calories. But the calorie shifting diet had better adherence. People were more likely to stick with it, and they just seemed to like it better. So it's possible that these self-selecting days, like the cheat days, helped with the adherence because they knew, okay, I just have to do this for 11 days, and then I can have that, turkey and chocolate sandwich or whatever people want to eat on their cheat days, or that wonton soup. And maybe it was less monotonous. I had a professor in graduate school who said, you can do anything for 2 weeks, which I think is why when we were conceptualizing this podcast, the 2-week thing made a lot of sense to me. I could do anything for 2 weeks. So overall, talk to your healthcare provider before you do anything extreme, but look at the math. And sometimes just making one change can really shift your diet, like just going from Diet Coke or from regular Coke to Diet Coke. If you need a good starting goal, pick something that's reasonable. And what I would suggest is status quo. So make your starting goal, if you're new to calorie counting, just trying not to gain weight. Figure out what the math, sit down with MyFitnessPal or one of these other programs that are out there. There's tons of websites, and figure out how many calories would I need to eat just to stay where I am. And then just get in the habit of thinking about what you're eating. And maybe your overall goal isn't necessarily to lose weight, but just to eat more healthfully, and just tracking it all can help you get there. And that's it for the sciencey stuff.
So should we talk about what we're going to do specifically?
Yes, because we have some choices here, right? We can decide, like I was just saying, we could say, okay, here's how much I should be eating just to stay where I am, or just slightly under it, for example. But then, like, if I exercise a lot, which I do every day, do I add more calories?
Right. So I already know that I'm above my weight where I want to be.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking that I'm going to go into MyFitnessPal and enter in what my goal is for my weight and have it tell me what I should be having for my calories each day.
Now, I think you can select, like, you want to lose half a pound a week, 1 pound a week, or 2 pounds a week.
Current weight is 220, and I want to get down to 190 eventually at some point. So I might actually do this more than 2 weeks. I most likely am. Hopefully I'll get into the habit of this. So I'm setting it for 220, want to get down to 190. I'm going to tell it that I want to lose 2 pounds a week.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm currently sedentary, which I am because I can't hobble around very fast on my broken toe, which is still broken. Okay, so it's telling me that my calories per day should be 1,420.
Oh my gosh, that's really not a lot. Why don't you do an experiment and see what it would be if you just lost 1 pound a week?
Okay, hold on. 1,920 calories a day with 1 pound a week.
I think you're going to stick to it if you make your goal more reasonable. I know you'd like to lose 2 pounds a week.
Okay,
but
I'll say lightly active because I do walk probably about 4,000 to 6,000 steps a day.
Okay.
Do you think that sounds right?
Yeah.
So 2,210 calories a day.
For 1 pound a week or 2 pounds a week?
For 1 pound a week.
I think that makes sense, and I think you're more likely to stick with it if you pick something reasonable.
Okay.
And then you can, if you're finding it's too easy, then next week make it harder for yourself.
Oh, okay. That sounds really good.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is tell it to maintain my current weight. And I'm going to try to do is not what I've done in the past, which is eat all the calories in a day. And then if I exercise, like...
Oh, so in MyFitnessPal, right, it shows me that, oh, okay, I had exercise worth 315 calories today. So
Right.
Are you suggesting that we don't also get to eat those calories, that we just eat the goal calories?
Well, I think you and I can pick different things. I'm going to try a new thing and try not to eat those exercise calories.
Right. Otherwise, it kind of just negates the exercise, right?
No, it doesn't. I mean, because it's still the way you set yours up, it's still, even with those exercise calories, it's still taking into account that you want to lose a pound a week.
Oh,
So
it
it's
is.
still,
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. But for me, I'm not trying to rub it in your face or anything, but I'm not in a space where like I desperately need to lose weight and like you do.
Nice.
Yeah.
Super nice.
Yeah, I'm trying. Sorry, it's hard to talk about this stuff, especially knowing others are going to listen to it. Maybe my daughter. Just a little process comment.
Well, it's
back and
about
forth.
health. It's not about how you look. There's nothing
Good
that will
point.
change that.
In terms of health, yes. So at any rate, I fall into the error of thinking, ooh, I went running today. Therefore, I can have nachos
Right.
plus chocolate plus beer plus everything else, which in the end, I know is not the right way to plan healthful eating.
No. Okay, cool. Great. That sounds like a good way that we're going to monitor ourselves using MyFitnessPal.
We're not sponsored by them, by the way. But
No,
we'd
not
like
at all.
to be if
Oh, God.
they're interested.
Yeah, if they're interested, sure.
Why not? Okay. You ready to take a break and let everyone listen to the pleasure kills while we go do this for a couple of weeks?
Yeah, that sounds really great. We're going
Do
to
you
come
think
back.
your voice is going to sound different when you lose weight?
Yeah, all the fat around my neck is going to be gone.
Yeah, we'll see. All that
Yeah, I doubt it.
reverberation.
Oh, my gosh. No, I'm going to sound as awesome as ever.
Excellent. Because again, it's not about the fat around your neck. It's about how good you feel.
That's right. How my neck feels.
How your neck feels.
Exactly.
This door opened to this world where I was like, I really am totally unaware of like how much I eat in any given day, and that was sort of shocking. And I guess I was actually surprised by how ignorant I had been of what I was eating, does that make sense? I mean, it was sort of like as I'd sort of say to myself, well, how many calories I just eat, I would be like, oh, this is what it means to be full.
When you're trying to measure your food, it's actually really awkward socially. And I'm pulling out my phone and I'm like, I promise I'm not ignoring you right now. I'm listening to you. I really am, but I'm doing this thing. Even at home, it's still kind of weird. Like, you prepare dinner with a group of friends and you're like measuring out a half cup of polenta and they're just like, okay, now there's measuring cups everywhere. It's just weird. You just feel like you're on the spot and you feel like you have to explain yourself and but not appear like you're neurotic. It's a weird balancing act.
Kendra is trying to get me to eat a piece of cheesecake, Julie.
No, a bite. A bite. Look at how small this is. It's a bite.
I told her no several times.
He didn't even have dinner.
What are you supposed to do when somebody knows that you're counting your calories yet forces food on you?
Well, since he gets to have twice as many as I do, I don't feel sorry for him.
Oh, so you're doing this to sabotage me?
No, I'm telling you, you can have this. All you had was 2 bars today.
Thank you, Scott, Angela, and Kendra.
Hey, Mark, do you like apples?
Totally.
Okay, well, Rumble Marketing offers a service called Marketing Audits. And what it is a critical look at everything you're doing to dig out all the opportunities and low-hanging fruit you could be grabbing to make a difference in your business results.
So what does that have to do with apples, you stupid punk?
Low-hanging fruit. Apples are fruit.
I got it.
How you like them apples?
Oh, God. Rumble Marketing will help you explain even complicated products and services simply, crisply, and with compelling emotional resonance. Call Rumble to nail your brand voice, communicate key product messaging, or schedule an award-winning workshop to train your sales and executive teams to create more effective business communications. RumbleMarketing.com, and you can find them on LinkedIn.
Apples.
All right. So, Julie, it's nice to talk to you after 2 long weeks.
Your voice sounds so different. There's something different about you, Mark.
It's because my voice box has lost a lot of weight over the last 2 weeks. Really? Yeah. It's gotten more svelte.
Oh my goodness.
Well, see, the cool thing about my experience is that I had a great experience.
Oh my gosh.
I totally loved every minute of it. And I loved it because it made me very mindful of my food, and I like that a lot. I like thinking about what I put into my body because I don't abuse my body or the world I live in.
That's what I hear.
That's a Young Ones reference, in case you forgot, Julia.
Thanks.
Okay. It really helped me do that. Before this, I work at a great company that offers free food to us.
Yeah, you've mentioned it. Thanks for rubbing it in.
Yeah, and so one of the things that they have is this wall full of containers where you twist a dial and food comes out. So it's kind of like a Skinner thing, but not quite the same. In the containers, there's 2 containers that have, one has chocolate covered raisins and the other has peanut M&Ms.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, this is a real awful problem to have if you're really into chocolate covered raisins and peanut M&Ms as I am.
Are you into those things?
Oh my God, they're so delicious. I could, if I had a bathtub, if I had like a jumper house full of peanut M&Ms, I would deflate the jumper house and get rid of it and eat all the peanut M&Ms.
So you don't get sick of this stuff, even though you've worked there for quite some time and eat them all the time?
Oh my God. No, not at all. So anyway, that made it really hard. So before I went into this, I was eating that stuff and just really not being mindful at all. And I put on a bunch of weight. So like normally I would go around weighing about, 180, 185, maybe 190 tops. I topped off at 220 recently.
Oh, wow. So for you, that's considerably higher than what you normally weigh.
Right. And like if you plug in my data somewhere like MyFitnessPal, it says I should be like 170, 175, which I don't see happening anytime in the next forever. Maybe on the planet. Oh, yeah, sure.
I like that planet.
I know. You told us that one. Now my kids use it.
Aw.
The data is set up so that I would lose 1 pound a week. And I actually lost 4 pounds over the last 2 weeks.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. So I'm actually going to keep doing this. Absolutely loved it. I totally recommend it. And what was interesting about this also is I didn't count carbs or sugars or anything like that. I just kind of ballparked the foods that I was eating, just sort of, using my own intuition about them, if they were healthy or not. And I avoided all the unhealthy stuff and just tried to eat things that were more nutrient packed.
And are you hungry at the end of the day?
At the end of, you mean before I go to sleep?
Yeah.
No.
Wow.
No, I mean, I feel adequate, like nicely hungry after like a few hours after breakfast as I'm rolling into lunch. And I feel that hunger again when I get home for dinner, where before this, when I really wasn't considering too much of this. Now don't tell Kendra that.
Okay. Yeah.
I wouldn't feel that way. I really wouldn't feel that way. And also I had a lot of heartburn going on.
Oh, beforehand, you mean?
Beforehand, yeah. So I think I was just totally overeating and not letting my body have time to digest all its food. Poor body. Since I have like 1,300 calories left over on some nights, there is totally room for my favorite treat, like a donut from Steve's Donuts here in Snoqualmie.
Yes, you are very lucky.
Yeah, you've had them sometimes.
Yes, it's amazing.
They're great. Hey, Julie, so that is a lot about me. And although, I do like to talk about stuff that
yourself.
Right. So the book on podcasting says podcast what you know.
Normally, I cannot wait to break in on your monologue to talk all about my own experience.
Yeah.
But as I was telling you when we were prepping for this episode, this one's a little hard for me to talk about because it really, I'm embarrassed about my own reactions to this one. But I decided I would still want to talk about it because I know that a lot of my friends have these same sensations and experience as well.
Okay, well, remember the key to good storytelling is elaboration.
Okay, so basically, outwardly, I know that my body size is totally fine, especially since I'm a nearly 40-year-old mom. I'm healthy and I'm strong. I have a normal BMI in like the perfectly normal range, but I'm just not satisfied. I'd still like to be thinner. And I spend way more time thinking about my body size than I should. I waste too much energy, time, and emotion thinking about losing weight, even though for me, it's just a few pounds. Like if I had my druthers, I would lose like 5 pounds. But I think all this kind of emotional baggage really defeated me in this challenge. And I wasn't like physically hungry. You know, I didn't have the physical discomfort of being hungry, but I did have the physical discomfort of like every single day just kind of obsessing about it and just thinking about being thinner. And then when I didn't actually make my calorie goal, not being good enough. And
can I ask you something?
Yeah.
So you normally exercise a lot.
Yes.
So do you not normally keep track of what you eat?
I do. And
so then how did this make it different for you?
Because this time I knew I was going to have to talk about it out loud. Yeah. I mean, so this is kind of a constant thing. And I eat, this is embarrassing because I know this is totally wackadoo. Like if one of my friends who's my size told me this, I would think she's loopy because I know, like when I look in the mirror and I know logically that like I'm fine. But like with this challenge, I only managed to stick to my goal one day during the entire challenge. Okay, so here's the kicker. Like in the moment, I knew I wasn't hungry. It was just that like eating or drinking the calories felt like really good and satisfying, like in the moment. But then of course I felt like a failure the 10 minutes later the next morning. And this is something I've been doing of late for stress reduction. I don't know. That's my rationalization. But it definitely was worse in the last couple of weeks. And like, so here's some of the ways I rationalized it. Like, oh, well, it's been such a taxing day. Or I'm with my friends, you know.
This is fun.
It's fun. Or
we're having fun.
I'm by myself.
I just want to dive into that one real quick. I'm by myself, comma.
And so poor me, let's have some cookies.
Okay. So it's like, okay, go ahead.
And as we know from like our scheduled mealtime episode, like when you're not with others, you're more likely to binge a little bit.
Yeah.
And the most prevalent one, this is like the really defeatist attitude, is like, I'm already over my calorie limit, so I may as well just pig out. Or what's the point? And that was the one that like really got me. And again, like in the moment, I'm recognizing this. And I think
you're seeing it happen as you're doing it.
I'm seeing it happen. I think part of it in the last couple of weeks, why this happened almost every day. I mean, even though this happens to me normally, it's not an everyday thing. It's like a once a week thing. The reason it was almost every day, I think it was like the 15-year-old part of myself being like, oh, yeah, you know.
Oh, like I'm going to show you podcast.
Right. And it's like the crappy thing was the only person I was screwing up was my own self.
Isn't that is something that I think about too.
Yeah.
Like totally. When I get out of a stressful meeting or like just need something to cheer me up, I would head over to those Skinner bins at work and pump myself full with chocolate covered raisins.
Totally.
But, you know, when I have clarity of thought before I start walking over there, because luckily my desk is like the furthest away desk from those things. So I have some time to think before I get there.
And exercise. So I burn off like 1 calorie. At my work, I have very few food options. So it's just whatever I bring with me. And I just bring healthy stuff. So I'm fine when I'm at work. At home, I'm a really good cook and we have lots of sugar and salt and stuff. And I know because Kendra is so healthy and you obey her commands.
True.
You don't have as many cookies and things around like we do. So she's also a very good cook.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to imply anything there. But you don't have tons of leftover pizza around all the time when you're...
No, that's true. That's true.
Okay, but this is what I've learned. Just focusing on calories leads me to a bad place.
A dark place.
Yes, a dark place. The times I've been the healthiest in my adult life are when I've been running, training for a race, or really into weightlifting.
Interesting.
And these activities focus on like the physical attributes of speed, endurance, and strength instead of just counting calories to lose weight. So it's like with this 2 weeks, the reason we were doing this was to lose weight, to be thinner. And I think that's not a great mental space for me to be. What's better for me and what's been more successful for me in the past is, well, I need to eat in order to power myself to run, or I need to eat after I weight train with lots of protein because that's going to help me train more. And then 2 days later, I'm going to get to see my reps go up. And then that's a nice measurable way to look at it instead of just, I want to be thin and whatever. I want to be strong.
Right. So for me, I had a broken toe through this.
Oh, yeah. I've heard about
that. Have you?
Yeah, you did in our last episode. I think you whined about it for like a half hour or something.
Yeah, listeners, go check out our last episode. We've heard it. It's really great. But I had a broken toe and it really hurt a lot to walk around. I also have this ongoing issue with stabbing pains in my lower back that I'm going to get checked out soon. But so I can't really move around very fast. I can't really exercise. I can't do anything like you're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of bogus and I don't like it. So instead I'm focusing on just being mindful about what I eat and watching those calories.
That's awesome. Yeah,
so that's been really helpful. And also, like I said, I really put on a lot of weight over the last year. And over the last 2 years, I think I've gone up, maybe even 3 years, gone up from like a size, like a 36 Levi's to a 40 Levi's. And that sucks. It just really sucks to know that you're carrying around like a 7-year-old child on your body.
Yeah.
Sucks.
It sucks.
Because the 7-year-old child should be on the outside of your body, like, giving a piggyback ride, not that I have eaten her.
That's not how you make children.
That is not how you make children.
Okay.
So bottom line here, Julie.
Yes.
Based on my personal experience, I would highly recommend this to everybody.
I think I would too. I mean, even though I was filled with like self-recrimination, I still gained a lot of insight over it. I was really surprised. I thought when we started this, I was like, okay, finally, I'm going to lose this weight I've been holding on to. This will help me. I'll be held accountable. But it was even worse than normal. I definitely am going to try to stop counting calories after this and get back into just thinking about other ways of tracking what I'm eating in terms of strength and speed.
That's awesome.
If you want to hear the episode where Marc broke his toe for the sake of our podcast, go to wagonpod.com where you can listen, view our show notes, and subscribe.
That's right.
You can also connect with us. I know that's right. You can also connect with us on Facebook at the Station Wagon Podcast and Twitter at WagonPod. Do you want? You can share our episodes with your friends, if you please, and give us iTunes reviews like Mr. D Fun or MRD Fun, not sure which, who wrote, or Mr. Dr. Fun.
Would it be just Murd Fun?
Murd Fun, who wrote, never short on laughs. I'm entertained through the entire episode.
Well, thanks, Murd Fun. That was awesome. Hope to see you on Twitter. Seriously, I respond to people on Twitter.
I know. You love the tweets.
I do love the tweets.
If you have suggestions for things...
I'm an old guy who likes to tweet.
If you have suggestions for things we could be giving up, please email us at wagonpodcast@gmail.com. Thank you to the Pleasure Kills for the use of the song Modern Problems.
And thanks to Rumble Marketing for the heaps of moolah.
And thanks to our spouses and children. And a special...
As always, they make this possible.
And a special thanks to Taylor Ray Sikorsky for the help editing this time.
So, Julie, next time on the Station Wagon, you know what we're going to do?
What?
We're going to give up shaving.
Oh, shaving what? Like our dogs? Because mine are short-haired.
You're going to have to tune in to find out.
Okay, sounds good.
But when I told some of my coworkers about this and asked them if they wanted to play along and follow along with us, they said no way.
Interesting.
Intrigued?
Did you just call me fat?
And a liar.
Oh.
So which one do you want me to retract? You get one.